Whoa. Huh. Welcome, Black Sun. I thought I just got started, but evidently I've been streaming an extra 5 seconds. All right, here we are. There's the tier list, and here are all the assists organized by rarity. Although I suppose Z can be back here if I'm sorting by chronological appearance. Can I zoom out more? Huh, guess so. So there's everyone. What can I do about this? I'll just move it up here. Okay, let's begin. Let me see. I still can't see live chat. Huh. Let me try to fix that real quick. Just trying to see which one toggles it. Doesn't seem like either of them do anymore. Okay, we're just gonna try and test it again. Where would you rank putty assist, Black Sun? I would personally put it really low on the tier list, but I'm not sure if I'll put it in useful in specific situations or not useful at all. I'll just stick it here for now, and we'll see. I don't know why live chat is not working. Okay, I'm just gonna rank a couple of them, and hopefully I'll find a solution to the live chat problem. And if my ranking doesn't line up with yours, you can correct me when I get live chat working again, or when I can see live chat again. Um, Man, I made these tier titles very specific, but kind of ambiguous, because there are so many assists that could fall in between categories. Like I can see movie Jason being useful for some characters, but only in specific situations. So it's kind of like in between. I don't know. I feel like he could be useful, but there are better assists to use than him. I'm gonna put him in for some characters. Might move him down. Let's see. Okay, it doesn't look like I'm muted. Sorry about the pause, just making sure I can open live chat on my other device, which I am currently booting up, but it takes a minute. Okay, live chat is up. Really? I wonder if, because my mic settings are the same as they always have been, so I don't know why it's hard to hear me. Unless I'm just talking quiet. How do you change the background in multiverses? Oh, I have no idea. I think you know more about the game than I do. I don't even know how to look up players. Putty D tier, so that would be on S, A, B, C, D. So not useful then. Okay. I was kind of thinking that. Do you agree with my placement of movie red? Here, let me try to fix the mic real quick. Okay. Is that better? Banner thing? Uh, might have to show me a screenshot of that at some point. Like email me, like encircle it or something. Because oh, you mean the banner behind your character, right? If that's the case, then it's in the roster menu, and you hit one of the triggers, it'll go to profile settings. It'll You'll be able to change your character background when you're loading into a match, in addition to your yeah, other stuff. Okay, so movie yellow. I feel like she's very limited, but you can use her with quite a few characters. So I don't know. Useful in specific situations is kind of its own separate tier from the top three. So I don't know. Because I feel like Trini would be useful for most characters, but only for specific situations, like if you're launching your opponent or a uh, certain trip moves. Because certain trip moves don't work with Trinity Assist. It comes out too late. So, oh, I see. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, I'm gonna put her in useful or specific situations. And Zach, I wouldn't say he's useful for all characters, but a good majority of them, he is very useful. Of course, he's one of my main assists, and I made like 10 characters, and I use him in every combo. So I'm gonna put him in all characters, unless someone can name specifically a leader that it does not work well at all with. Then I'll drop him down to most characters. 'Cause I know back in the day, Movie Zach and TV Kimberly were like the go-to assists because they had the most health when you upgraded them. But I've seen TV Kimberly fall off. Actually, I've seen Movie Zach fall off, but not as hard as Kimberly did. I just don't see Kimberly as very useful at all. But we'll get to that later. What about Movie Kimberly? She's very slow, but she can avoid hits. She has evasion while she's up in the air, but she's very slow. Very, very blockable. I can't name any characters specifically that she would be a boost for. I just feel like she'd be useful in specific situations. Yeah. Because even if you launch the opponent and then go straight into movie pink assist, they're probably going to land on the ground before the kick lands, and they may or may not have time to block it even then. So who knows? So specific situations it is. Um, Alpha, man, that's a tricky one because I'm kind of stuck between three tiers. I don't know if I want to put them in most or some, but really it's a specific situation that you can use Alpha in. But more situations than Trini or Kimberly. So yeah, so I want to put him in any of these three. I'm going to stick him in the middle for now, and we'll see. Some situations, or some characters, yeah. Okay, yeah, I'll stick him there for now. And if someone else comes along and wants to argue for a different spot, we can take that to a higher court, I suppose. Now, Movie Blue. Uh, he's a little pricey for what he does, EP wise. 5 cost for just a knockback, and 1 you can't easily combo out of. I want to say specific situations. He's more of just a counter assist just for the sake of getting you out of a situation. Because you can't really implement him into a combo. Yeah. And Movie Rita. An interrupt hit into a... What kind of hit type is that? The second hit. It's the same as Thunder Ranger assist. It's not a launch. It's more like a trip than a launch, but it's not a trip. It's like a raise kind of situation. You raise the character up. Some characters? Okay. I'm inclined to agree with that. I would also argue specific situations if you know for sure that the opponent either doesn't have or won't use their block. Then you can throw it out. But yeah, I think some characters benefit from having Rita on the team more than others. TV Jason. 3 blasts, and it comes out really rather slow. It's not fast at all. The first 2 hits on the ground are interrupt hits. Actually, the first 2 hits, even in the air, are interrupt hits. And then the last one's a knockback. It's more of a combo ender, and if the opponent is in the air, that's the most optimal uh, situation for TV Jason assist, but I'm going to put specific situations. Because if you really try, you can implement his assist into quite a few leader move or leader combos if you really know how to use it. But really the situations that you use that assist in are all the same, really. The opponent's in the air. Unless you're Connor and you know your opponent doesn't have a block because they're betting on having only strikes. So, hmm. Yeah, I'm going to keep them in specific for now, and we'll see about later. Trini, though, I think it's more specific than Jason. I feel like the only way to use her effectively is if the opponent's already in the air. And if you want to finish off with like a ranged attack of some sort, not necessarily a projectile, but one where you could also dash forward and strike, because it ends with a stagger. But it has, like TV Jason assist, it has 2 interrupt hits before the third hit. But there's quite a gap between the second hit and the third hit. So even if you're juggling the opponent, they can probably still block the third hit, depending on how high off the ground they are from the juggle. Let's see. Billy, I would say, has more use. He's pretty pricey at 5, like movie Billy, but he ends in, well, he only has one hit, and it's a stagger, but it's a block breaker. So if you want to cancel a 3-hit combo so you don't get blocked, you can throw out Billy and then maybe throw something else out if you have the EP for it. Maybe dash forward so you get an extra EP. So I would say some characters, maybe most characters, but I'm gonna put him in some for now because I can't think of a lot that he would be particularly useful. Um, I do have a tier list for characters, not necessarily leaders, but like leaders and assists combined, like take their characters as a whole, and I have them ranked based on how balanced they are. Like how desperately they need a buff, or if they need to be nerfed immediately. I have done streams about that in the past. If you dig far enough, you can find them. I did them probably towards the start of the year, and since it's only June, it shouldn't be buried too far deep. I think you'd be able to find them pretty easily. We could also take a look at that tier list after this, but I feel like we're gonna be here a while, so. Um, but yeah, I mean, I could always do. Actually, since it's June, it's like halfway through the year. I'd like to do tier lists like twice a year, like once halfway and one at the end of the year. I wonder if I should wait until the end of the month when the next Warrior releases, or when it's getting ready to release, and then after that Warrior releases, we'll do another tier list. Or maybe I should just do one after this. I'll put a poll up after this stream, actually. Kimberly. Yeah, not very useful. If you want the added health bonus, if you have her upgraded, I feel like she's good, but attack wise, I don't know. She can, I guess, lead to some neat combos, but it's just a stagger hit that comes out rather slow, and it's a strike. So it's a little worse than Billy, I would say, because it's actually blockable. I would say you could use Kimberly in specific situations. And Zach, I would have put with Billy if it weren't for his 6 cost. I feel like if he was a 5, definitely a 4. If he was a 5, maybe I would have put him up here. But since he's a 6, I'm going to put him in specific situations. Because it's just a really expensive launch attack that you can just do for 2 less EP and a little, well, you're trading off a little bit of speed. TV Zac is a little faster than Movie Zac, but TV Zac does not have the distance or the range that Movie Zac does. Zac only hits like the immediate area, basically like right in front of him. Zac can hit a dash space in front of him. So if you're right in front of your opponent and you cancel a 3-hit combo, but they don't block, instead they dash backwards, as long as you hit Movie Zac fast enough, you can still hit them with the launch. So yeah, I'm gonna put Zac in specific situations. TV Zac. Um, what do you guys think of Goldar? It's another 6 cost, and he always starts at the user's end of the arena, and he charges rather not slowly, but he's not exactly quick. So he's very blockable. It's very, very costly. I can't think of any specific characters that he'd be useful with. So I don't think I'll put him here. So I'm probably going to put him in specific situations, unless you guys think he's useless. Because I don't see much use out of him. Like, I come up with a lot of combos and I test them out in training. I don't think I've ever used Goldar in a combo in training mode. I just can't think of any. What would you combo it with? I mean, you'd combo out of it with a couple of things, but not that much. Because it's a stagger, but upon using Goldar, you only have 4 EP left. That's enough for one move. Unless you use Izzy or Daishi assist, then you can use the 2 costs. I can't think of any other 2 cost moves from leader move sets that can combo out of a stagger. So I'm going to put them in specific situations at the highest. But those are really specific situations. Actually, no, they're so specific that I'm just going to put them in useless. Because I can't think of any reason why anyone would willingly use Goldar. Now, as for Mighty Morphin Green V1, I would say, since he's pretty cheap, you combo into him and out of him. He's a great combo continuer for a great price. I would say he's useful for most, if not some characters. So I think he'll be our first warrior and useful for most characters. Now, as for Rito, it's nothing but interrupt hits, but you're inflicting fire damage over time. But there are so many opportunities for you to get blocked during that. Is it like 4 hits that he does? And you could block, well, all of them. I mean, you can juggle with him, but the opponent would fall flat onto the ground right after the last hit and immediately get up and attack you. And since you can't combo out of Rito assist, you can't really do anything about it. I'm going to put him in useless as well. Because the damage over time itself, or the damage over time alone, isn't enough to save this assist. They need to change some of the hit reactions, I think. I don't know if they should turn any of the hits into stuns, but maybe do the first, maybe the second hit as a stagger or something, but I don't know if just to make it less blockable. But I think the assist is fast enough to where they can't stagger out of the assist to where they can't get hit by the other 2 hits. But I don't know. It's slow enough to where I think that might be possible if they did change that to a stagger. So, yeah. Anyway, Rito is useless. The assist is useless. Let's see. TV Rita is basically the same thing as Movie Rita, only it's a block breaker and 1 EP cost higher. But it can delete blocks if the opponent, for some reason, thinks that it's a strike. They can pull a block out and then just waste it. So I think it's a little more useful than Movie Rita, but I don't know if that would make her useful for most characters. I think she's still in the same category as Movie Rita, where some characters can use her effectively, but not a lot of them. Scorpina assist. We see a lot of those in global, but we just see a lot of those in PvP anyway. They did have to nerf the speed on her assist when she came out, but she's still pretty fast. And it's 4 hits, and the last hit is poison damage over time. It used to be all the hits. All the hits used to be poison damage over time, but they saw that was too broken, like the rest of her moveset, and they nerfed that into oblivion. But now she's just really good. So I'm going to say that she's useful for most characters, if not all of them. But if anyone here wants to argue for a different spot, I am open for discussion on that. Until then, we'll move on to Black Dragon. I don't know. I used to be scared of Black Dragon Assist, honestly. I would always block as soon as he came out with the standard block, and then it would run out right as he went to lift me up. That's just because I didn't memorize the timing of when it actually lifts you up. And it's just so imposing, him just slowly walking up to you before raising you up. Most assists just cut straight to the point and just attack you. Black Dragon lets you know he's coming for you. But now he's kind of a joke. You can just intentionally hit him with a projectile and activate him, and he won't hit you if you're far enough away, which isn't far, like probably anything longer than a dash space away from him, and you're safe. Now, if you're cornered, you better hope you have a block with you. But on the opponent's team, really all it comes down to is the mindset of your opponent. You can't really combo with Black Dragon Assist. It's more of a fear factor, pressure kind of assist, in my experience. So I'm going to put him in specific situations. Although since it is a launch, you can combo out of him more easily because you can wait for your opponent to fall back down just a little bit and then hit them with something else. Okay, Ranger Slayer. I find her to be one of the most useful assists in the game because she kicks the opponent away. You can easily dash out of it and combo into something else as they're in the air. And what's more is that the arrows she fires before she kicks come down and hit the opponent as you're comboing. So it's a nice multi-hit combo that just, it stacks on with whatever move you're using. Not all characters work with Ranger Slayer Assist. We've seen that with some recent ones, but most of them do. So I'm going to put her in useful for most characters. I'm just going to put her there and then scroll up and do that. When this list gets to be really tall, I'll have to do that a lot because there's a lot of characters to go through. Okay, Alarian Assist. Really slow on startup. Starts with a launch that doesn't do any damage, even though it counts as a hit in training mode. Well, it counts as a hit no matter what, but if you're not in training mode, you won't see it unless you're using it yourself or in a replay. Um, quite a few hits. I haven't memorized how many, but it's probably 6 or 7. And it ends with a knockback after a stun. And I think you can combo out of it pretty easily. Not the easiest assist to combo out of. You will need to dash and then do something. And depending on what moves you have at your disposal, that might not always work. But I want to put her in useful for most characters. But at the lowest, I'll put her in useful for some characters. But I think most characters is a good placement for her. Ooh, Zed. Okay. Well, it's not the slowest on startup, but the the fact that it's an interrupt hit at first, and then the distance between hits is so long, he's one of the most easily blocked assists in the whole game. I'm gonna put him in not useful, just because of that. It ends in a knockback, and you can't even dash out of him. He's more of a combo ender, and if the opponent's in the air. That's a really, really specific situation. Aside from that situation, he's completely useless. Unless you know for a fact your opponent doesn't have a block, but that's almost never nowadays. We have so many double or triple block teams, or even characters. So, Yeah, I'm noticing a pattern here. We only have two block assists in the top tiers, and the rest of them are pretty low. So, I don't know. We need better block assists. Or maybe all the good block assists are way down here. I don't know. Zordon's pretty good. We'll see about his placement soon. He might be an outlier, though. Okay, Kaya. We see a lot of those too. They're most popular if the opponent loves cornering themselves. Well, if the user loves cornering themselves. In my experience, my opponent uses Kaya and I don't, and they love cornering themselves and then using Kaya because it's like an instant hit. And those people love instant hits. But it's a very popular and very good assist. Um, and I suppose you can combo out of it. I wouldn't say it's the easiest assist to combo out of, but it's not the hardest. But since it's so versatile, I'll put it in useful for most characters. It's kind of like a Scorpina situation where you just see it so much you have to assume that it's a good assist. And really, it's not terrible. It's decent. Now, Dane. There's a couple of situations where you could use him, but not many. I personally like to use him after I do a stagger attack. For example, Lord Draken's Thunder Slash into Dane, because you can combo out of Thunder Slash like almost instantly. But still, you can't use him for a lot. Um, if there's a really slow attack coming, you could use him to knock out the attack. You could also bait out a block, and then as soon as the block ends, you can hit him with this. But those are both really rare situations. You'll mostly want to use him right after a stagger. So I'm going to put him in specific situations. Now, as for Zordon, he covers a lot of distance. It ends in a stun. You can't really combo out of it. You can, but it's kind of hard to. I would definitely combo out of it with a move that is not blocked after the first hit. Uh, like Dane's Bounty Hunter block breaker in his middle slot. I guess this is, no, it isn't his only block breaker because he has the insect pressure projectile. Um, but yeah, I would go with like Zordon into Dane's Bounty Hunter block breaker or something like that. And that's pretty effective. So he is used in certain specific situations, but he's rather versatile if you know how to use him. I'm going to put him useful for some characters. Spark, a pressure assist. He's there solely for pressure. It's a really slow projectile, one that carries on even after you're doing other attacks. You can use it for combos, very specific combos, but it's mostly used for pressure to trick your opponent into doing something. It's all about uh, getting your opponent to do something. It's all about mind games. Out of the three pressure assists with the really slow projectiles, I would say Spark is the best. And that's only because I don't like the projectile pressure assists because I think they're too slow and I can't maintain the pressure for that long. But that's my personal experience. I can't apply pressure with those assists very well. But I have had really good results with Spark. So I'm gonna put him in useful for some characters because, like Zordon, there are specific situations, but very versatile situations. I'm probably gonna put Delphine and Zinaku in specific situations because they are still useful. just not to me. But they're not completely useless like those bottom four right there. Now, with Skull, it's three stagger projectiles. Not slow, but not fast either. And it's a 5 cost. So it's not the best assist in the game. That's why you don't see a lot of them being used. Or that's why you don't see this assist being used a lot, but it's still it's still good. It's not bad. Um Again, like Dane assist, I would combo that out of a stagger, but I would argue you could also do it out of an interrupt hit and you trick the opponent into blocking or even a stun. You could really use his assist out of anything and it would still work to some extent. Uh, but I feel like it would be the most useful if you use it out of a stagger. But it is more versatile than Dane, which Dane has a lot of startup and it's a quick projectile, but it can be easily blocked. And if you're using it from your corner and the opponent is in their corner, they're probably going to block it if they have a block on them. Even if they could just dash through it, they'll probably just block it just to prove a point. So I'm going to put Skull in useful for some characters. Then again, you could use his assist with almost anyone. So I'm going to put him in most characters, actually. Dragon Shield Zack. It's basically Movie Zack and TV Zack combined. He has a little more range than TV Zack, but not as much as Movie Zack. And actually, it's an EP cost in between the other Zacks, because he's a 5 cost, the others are 4 and 6. So, yeah, he's more useful than TV Zack, but not as useful as Movie Zack. He does travel quite a distance, not a great amount, not as much as Zack. Not a dash space, but I feel like it's like half a dash space or almost a full dash space. Being a launch, you can combo it with pretty much anything. So I'm going to put him in most, some at the lowest, most at the highest. I'm not entirely sure. If anyone wants to weigh in on the verdict here, I'm open to your argument. I think I'm going to set him in most characters for now, unless told otherwise. Pumpkin Wrapper. Not a slow projectile, but it definitely has some startup you have to get through before the hit can connect. It's also a projectile, even though it doesn't look like it. It's a rather fast block breaker, but it's not strike speed. So I would say it's pretty useful. It's another launch, so you can combo it with pretty much anything as long as you can juggle. Um, it's cheaper than Dragon Shield Zack, but at the same time, being a projectile, it's dodged easier. So I feel like there are pros and cons for both of them. I don't know which one I would put above the other. I want to put them in some characters, but I'm probably going to put them in most characters as well. Solely because I can't put Pumpkin Wrapper over Dragon Shield Zack or the other way around. Ninjor. This one is funny because in upper leagues, he is not useless, but not very useful. In lower leagues, he is a noob trap. He starts out at your corner, right? As soon as a block breaker symbol shows up over his head, 9 times out of 10, the opponent is on their end of the corner, or their corner, and they just hit the block button. The split second the block breaker symbol pops up. It's hilarious. And then they can't get out of the block animation by the time the Ninja has zoomed over to them and hit them both times. It is hilarious. I did this all the time back when I was in League 4 so many years ago. It was like 4 or 5 years ago. That's crazy. But yeah, it is a noob trap. So I would put useful for some characters. Also because you can combo into him. I don't know about combo out of. There might be some combos you can combo out of him for, but you can combo into him. Although most combos that go into him don't really work. Because if you're sending your opponent flying into their corner, they're probably going to recover by the time that Ninjor starts zooming towards them. And they probably won't fall for the block trick if you are trying these combos out, because you're probably in a higher league. Green V2. I see a lot of these. Pretty sure you guys see a lot of them too. Three hits of something. It ends with a launch. I don't remember if the other ones are launch or not. I don't think they are. No, the first two hits are knockback. You get sent flying backwards, and then the third hit is a launch. It's rather hard to hit the third hit, because you have to be at a certain point at the map to hit all three hits and not have them fall out of it. Or you have to do a specific combo to where they can't fall out of the third hit. But aside from that, I see him pretty much everywhere. I'm going to put him in most characters. Like, you could probably combo him with Ranger Slayer assist. Do Ranger Slayer assist first. After the kick, dash forward, go into green V2. You should connect all the hits. I'm pretty sure all the arrows will land. Actually, I'm positive all the arrows will land. You'll hit the first two missiles, if not all of them. So that'd be something to test out in a future live stream or combo video or something. Draken assist. Despite my bias towards Draken, I don't think his assist is that great. It doesn't come out fast at all. It's not slow, but it's slower than I want it to be. And all it is just a stagger that he sends himself flying most of the way across the stage for. I don't think he hits all the way across the stage. I think he stops right at the opponent's corner without hitting them. So, I don't know. With certain moves, you can combo out of it. I don't know why you would combo from one move into Draken Assist. But I guess if you have the right tools, you can use him. But I'm going to put him in specific situations. I just don't think the assist is that useful for combos, which is mostly what I'm basing this off of. Because if it came down to just combo potential, a lot of these characters in specific situations would be in not useful. Because Movie Blue is a great assist to get out of a bad situation where you're getting pelted by strikes, or if you're being cornered and being pelted by strikes. Aside from that, he's useless. You can't really combo into him unless you're cornering the opponent, and then they hit that and they're launched back or knocked back, and then you can juggle them. That's the only real combo potential there is out of that assist. Anyway, Dragon Shield Jason. He comes out pretty fast. There's no startup. It's just him dashing across the stage rather quickly, and it's a knockback, which is kind of hard to combo out of, as I just expressed with Movie Blue. He's also a good combo finisher, because if you end with a knockback, you can combo into his assist, and he'll do another knockback hit. And since he's really fast, the opponent probably wouldn't have landed before the assist hits. So I'm gonna put him in Well, he's pretty useful. I'm gonna put him for most characters, if not some. Put him in some and then move him up. Once again. Okay. Dragon Armor Trinity. Let's see. It's not an instant hit, but it's really quick. In my experience, it's pretty hard to block. It starts out with a stun, and then it moves into a knockback. But the knockback sends the opponent flying a little farther than I would like it to. Especially because since Dragon Armor Trinity's model is so huge, I feel like it does take up more space. It sends the opponent flying back farther than most characters can combo into, because when the assist is over, even if you dash forward, the leader will probably be moved back a certain distance compared to Dragon Armor Trinity. Unless you're using Dragon Armor Trinity yourself, then I guess in that case it's the same distance, but I feel like Dragon Armor Trinity assist has bigger hitboxes, so it can hit from a longer distance. So I'm going to put it in specific situations. Because it's really hard to combo out of, but it's not impossible. It's just not easy. Now, I am for sure going to put Dragon Shield Kimberly in specific situations. You cannot combo with this assist unless you start with that assist and then go into certain attacks, like a 3 combo or a combo where the opponent is in one place most of the time, if not the whole time. So I don't think I need to further clarify that. I feel like that justifies it enough. Ninjetti Tommy. Well, you need to be basically right in your opponent's face to land that. Unless you're counting on your opponent dashing into you as you hit that assist. So I'm also going to put him in specific situations. Now it is a good combo starter, I suppose. You can combo into any sort of juggle. You could use projectiles and stuff. But I guess it's getting the assist to land. You can only use it in specific situations. But I'm going to put it in, I'm going to bump it up to some characters because there's a lot of combo potential once you hit it. But if we were talking about just landing the assist, I would put it in specific situations. Actually, most of these assists would be in specific situations. Movie Red would have been in specific situations because it starts with an interrupt, and then goes to a launch, and it's super blockable. Ninjetti Atom. Decent startup speed. Not necessarily the fastest, but it's not slow. Starts with a stagger, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it's a trip. Both may have been true at one point or another, but I'm pretty sure it's a stagger now. You can only block the first hit, and that's if you see it coming. Or if you have a fast reaction. But it ends with a launch. You have to dash back into your opponent in order to land some combos from. So, but a lot of characters can use them. So, some, if not most, I'm going to put him there. I'm going to put him in most. He's more useful than some characters' assists here. Aisha. I feel like she's lost most of her popularity recently because they nerfed her assist. Actually, they nerfed Aisha in general because having Aisha assist on your team or just having Aisha in general made you immune to Orion's super. You would not get hit by it until the recent patch with Ollie. I don't think it was with Tanya. I think it was with Ollie. If not, then it was Zenith Ranger Zato. It was definitely within the last couple months they changed it or they fixed it. If she could still dodge Orion, I would say useful for all characters, just off that alone. But she's, aside from that, since it's gone now, she comes out pretty fast, but she doesn't travel a good distance before she hits, and it's just a launch. Of course, you can combo out of a launch pretty easily. But you need to be, it's like Ninja Tommy, you have to be right on your opponent to land it, pretty much. I'm going to say useful for some. It's also a useful block. I would say she's slightly more useful than Ninja Tommy. So, okay. Rocky, though, I feel like he's the most useful Ninjetti assist. I don't know about startup, especially distance. So, I don't know. Okay, where were we? Rocky. Okay, let's see. Yeah, like I said earlier, I'm not sure about distance, especially on, well, startup, obviously. I don't know if he moves a dash space forward before he hits, or when he comes out, if he moves forward a dash space. But the attack itself is pretty good. I think the first hit travels a good distance before it actually lands. I think a dash space. I'm gonna say it was a dash space, and then it's just a bunch of stuns and trips until a final launch, which you can combo out of really easily. So, yeah, already a step above Tommy and Aisha. Maybe on the same level as Rocky. I don't know if Rocky is useful with all characters, but he is definitely useful for most. So I'm gonna put him there at the lowest. Might put him in useful for all characters. Right now, movie Zach is pretty lonely up there. um, yeah. Master Morpher Tommy may change that because I think he's one of the most useful assists in the game. It's a three-hit combo, but it's a block breaker, and it starts with a trip. So it's already better than the original move that it is a copy paste of, which is M. Bison's three-hit combo. Because M. Bison's three-hit combo is just an interrupt into a trip, I think. Maybe it's another interrupt. And then it goes into a. Oh no. Well, it ends in a knockback for sure. Master Morph Tommy Assist starts with a stun, then goes to a trip, and then goes into a knockback rather quickly. So even if you're not juggling with the assist, of course, what's the point of juggling with this assist if it starts with a stun? It's going to set the opponent down on the ground anyway. You can definitely combo out of it. You can combo into it. Very versatile, and it's a block breaker, so you can just throw it out of nowhere. You could really use it anytime. I'm gonna put it up there with Zach with useful for all characters. Okay. We went from one of the most useful assists in the game to the absolute worst assist in the game. Hands down. No questions asked. I will elaborate with this one statement. It begins with a trip. It ends with an interrupt. You cannot dash out of it. You cannot attack out of it. You are basically standing there for 2 seconds. 2 whole seconds. Okay, that might be an exaggeration. At least a whole second. And your opponent can do something after that interrupt, like almost instantly. And you're stuck there. Even if you are juggling with that assist, the opponent will just get sat right back down and will attack you before you can do anything. That's an absolute, absolutely terrible assist. The worst one in the game. And that's my TED Talk. Okay. Now, Delphine. Like I said earlier, I'm not a big fan of the projectile pressure assists. I don't see much use out of them, but that's just how I play the game. I can't use them properly, evidently, but I get good results out of Spark, nonetheless. Delphine is, I don't know if it's slower than Zanaku or if it's the same speed, but it is really slow, and it's the only one out of the three that's a strike. So not only is it really slow, it's blockable. And it's a 5 cost, I'm pretty sure now. Didn't they nerf it from a 4 to a 5? So, yeah, I'm definitely going to put it in specific situations because I only put Spark up here in some characters because you can use it with more characters than you can with Delphine and Zanaku. And Delphine, I'm pretty sure it ends with a stun when Spark and Zanaku end with a launch. So that limits your combo potential even more if you want to combo out of it, you know, or add more stuff to your combo. Um, Zeo Pink isn't actually as useless as you think she is. Yes, she only has interrupt hits. Yes, they are pretty slow interrupt hits, and they're pretty spaced out. But you can, and she's also a 5 cost. That's pretty pricey, especially for a lot of characters. But you can cancel the assist at any time after the first hit, of course. You can't cancel it before the first hit. You can probably, I'm pretty sure you can cancel the assist the frame that the frame after the hit actually lands. Because I've seen the assist dash away right as I'm getting hit. Although that's probably just my delayed reaction time. But yeah, you can cancel her assist at any time after the first hit. So that should raise it up a little bit. I would say specific situations. You can juggle with it, and you could also trick the opponent into blocking after falling out of a juggle for some reason. I don't know what goes through the opponent's brain when they're being juggled. It's like, I can't hit a block, but I should tap block anyway. Because right after they fall on the ground, they stand up with a block. I find that hilarious. So yeah, specific situations, and that is my final answer. Tanya. Okay, the newest character in the game. The newest leader, the newest assist, the newest skin, the newest everything. She does not have as great of range as I thought she would, judging on the moveset video. Of course, the moveset video didn't show off extravagant range, but I thought she would have better range than that. But still, she can move forward a dash space, or maybe slightly less than a dash space. So I feel like she's like Movie Zack, but if you're, I feel like if you're dashing back away from Tanya's assist as she's moving out to kick, I feel like the kick will miss. So I feel like she's less reliable than Movie Zack, but I still have to do some testing. I haven't done much testing with that situation in PvP, just the Holo Trainer, and they usually don't they usually don't dash back once you cancel a 3-hit combo. They usually just stand there, or on rare occasions, when they do it, act like players, they block. Um, so I'm gonna put her as useful for most, if not some. I feel like some is actually a good placement. Might put her in most. I need to do more testing. Once I do, I think I'll be able to solidify my placement of the assist. Unless you guys want to drop in at any point. It can be now, it can be later. Zeo Green. A lot of people use it, but I think he's overrated. Because you have to be right on your opponent in order to land it, and it ends with a knockback. There's a very limited amount of moves you can do with that. Of course, you can cancel a strike and go into that as long as you know your opponent's going to block or stand there and not do anything else. You'll also want to use it towards your opponent's corner. If you're not at your opponent's corner, you'll probably want to be like a dash space away. That way you can combo with another move that'll just juggle out of it, out of the assist. So it's a very specific assist for combos. It's a good assist to knock opponents away from you, but it's not necessarily a counter tool because it's a block breaker. It hits hard, but it's very vulnerable. It's a more powerful but weaker version. That's contradictory. It's a more powerful but more vulnerable version of Movie Blue. That's what I wanted to say. I just mixed up the words for some reason, even though they didn't have any similar meaning. Zeo Red. It's a good anti-pressure tool. If the opponent keeps dashing towards you, even if they're like right in your face, and then they do a block breaker for some like mind games where they think that you think they're gonna do a strike, but instead they do a block breaker. If you know that they think that you think that, are you still following me here? As long as that happens, as long as they throw the block breaker out, they actually throw the block breaker out, you can do Zeo Red and basically fight back against the pressure right there. That's just one use. Of course, you can combo out of it, or you can combo into it, but you won't get the secret close-up kick. It'll just be him doing the flying kick. So, if it was just for his 2 hits, with that secret first hit, I would put it in specific situations. But I feel like I'm going to put him in some situations because you can combo out of it, or combo into it, not out of it. Well, I suppose you could combo out of it, but I don't know why you would. I'm pretty sure the end lag of that move is not the highest, but you can't really juggle out of that, I don't think. I mean, you might activate a super right after that, but I don't know. That's not the best super combo you can do. Not by a long shot. Zeo Gold. Oh man. What am I going to do with you? 3 hits. The first 2 are interrupt. The last one is a knockback. Does that sound familiar? We've done a couple assists like this before on this tier list, specifically TV Jason. Well, actually, I think that's the only one, but of course, Trini is the same, but it has a stagger. It's just that Zeo Gold is a block breaker instead of strike, and he's a 7 cost. He used to be a 5 back in the day, and they nerfed him to a 7. He could have been just a 6, but no, he is the most expensive assist in the game. He's the only 7 cost. I would say he's not useless. He's not utterly useless. You could use him in some situations, but I can count them on one hand. One of them was in the Zeo Yellow stream, where for some reason Zeo Gold was comboing out of Zio Yellow assist, and for some reason, even though the opponent was like a mile up from where Zio Gold was, all three of his hits were connecting. I only did it once because when I did it a second time, it didn't actually do that, but that's one use you can do for him. And most of the other scenarios are not that different, so I'm gonna put him in specific situations at the highest. I'm going no higher with that. As for Cassie, I feel like she should be a 3 cost. That might be a little excessive, but I feel like a 4 cost is a little too expensive, especially if it starts with an interrupt and then you can just block the second hit, which is a stun. It's not a good combo tool. It's not the worst combo tool, but it's not the best. Um, let's see. You definitely want to use either one of the pressure assists, preferably Zanaku or Spark. I don't know why you would go with an interrupt hit with Cassie, hit with a pressure assist with Delphine, which can still be blocked, and then go to the second hit with Cassie. So I would do Zanaku or Spark if the timing is super specific, because I'm pretty sure the launch effect of Spark or Zanaku will knock the opponent up in the air, obviously, but they won't get hit by the stun kick, which might be a good thing, but why didn't you just do a 3-hit combo and cancel after the first hit? It's basically the same thing. And since most characters have 3 cost 3-hit combos, it's 1 EP cost more expensive, so it's just a waste. But you could also juggle into Cassie's assist, send the opponent flying up into the air or knock them back into their own corner, as long as you're close by. Throw out Cassie's assist, and you can juggle that first hit, and then as soon as they land back on the ground, you stun them before they can block the second hit. But those are the only two uses that I can come up with for Cassie. So very, very specific situations you can use her. So gotta take care of those interruptions. Okay, so yeah, Cassie, very specific situations you could use her in. Um, yeah, almost as many situations that you can use Blue Centurion in, but he's useful. I would definitely preferably use him after Tiger. He's also a good mind games assist. Well, that's probably just me because when I fight someone with a Blue Centurion assist, I usually dash backwards and then get hit by a Blue Centurion assist because he doesn't hit immediately in front of him. It's like a dash space away from him. So it's weird like that. But I always fall victim to Blue Centurion assist. But those are very specific situations you could use them in. More situations than Cassie. Uh, but it ends in a launch, but you can't combo out of it. You can't dash out of him. It's a combo ender, but with a launch. I mean, what use is that? I mean, seriously. So he's gonna say in specific situations he doesn't go a tier higher than Cassie does, even though he has well, he has about the same amount of situations that Cassie does, I suppose. Divatox, I don't know. You can really just substitute her with anything else. I don't know why you would willingly choose Divatox. You have to be right in front of your opponent to land it, and it's a knockback. So I don't know how you would be able to land the assist normally if you didn't corner your opponent first. but since it's a knockback, you're gonna send your opponent flying towards their corner anyway. Yeah, I mean, you cancel 3-hit combo, trick them into blocking, dash forward instead of backwards, activate the assist because she doesn't move forward when you activate her. So you can't do a stagger into Deep Tox assist. You just can't. You have to be right there. And then I don't even think you can. I don't think there's enough time to combo out of her assist either. Because if you have to dash and then do a move, I feel like the opponent would have been up and able to block already. So I'm also going to put her in very specific. But I don't know. I almost put her in not useful, but that's why I ran through all the different possibilities of why someone would use the assist, but those are very specific. Of course, you could also combo into her with a trip, but you can, like I said earlier, you could just substitute with any other block breaker or move for that matter. It's not a great assist, but not the worst. Turbo Red is just a worse Kaya. Pretty sure he always travels from his own corner. He's not as fast as Kaya, I think. And even if you're cornered, it's not an instant hit. You can't do an instant hit with Turbo Red. But still, it's a good combo continuer. I don't know about combo starter. You can definitely combo with him, combo into him, and then maybe combo out of him. I'm gonna put him in useful for some. I'm gonna put him below Kaya, but above Movie Pink, which I feel like is another equivalent. But like that's this extreme slowest version of that kind of assist out there. I don't even know what to call that kind of assist. It's not a dash assist, although I suppose it kind of is. I guess Draken qualifies as that. Phantom Ranger. You can definitely combo out of him. I don't know how or why you would combo into him. I think he's a 4 cost now. For some reason, I was thinking he was a 5. He used to be a 5, at least. I think he's a 4 now, though. Um, yeah, you can combo out of him. I just wouldn't do it with a projectile. I would do it with a dash forward into a long range attack if your opponent isn't already in the corner and you weren't close. If they are close to their corner, by the time you throw out Phantom Ranger, I would dash forward and just do any attack that can juggle the opponent. Um, so he does have specific situations, but I feel like most characters can use him because most of them have decent range and they can juggle for, satisfactory amount of time. I'm gonna put him in most characters. He's pretty useful. TJ. Okay. There's only two scenarios that you would use him ever. If you launch the opponent, not if you tripped or raised the opponent off the ground. Not in those situations. Just if you launch the opponent, or if you know for certain that your opponent does not have any chance of getting a block. That's the only other situation. Because even if you do a trip or a raise after the first hit of his assist, there's such a delay between the kick and the first of like 7 blasts. The opponent's gonna be on the ground by the time the first blast actually hits, and they could just block the rest of them if they didn't block the first one already. He is a super blockable, super slow assist, and the cheap EP cost of 3 does not make up for any of it. So I'm going to put him in useful in specific situations, but if I was ordering these based on how useful and how many specific situations they were, he would be the lowest. There are only two conceivable scenarios where you would ever use his assist, and he's not even an optimal solution in any scenario. I would substitute him with literally anything else. I would put him on the same level as Mighty Morphin White on uselessness, but TJ actually has some potential, but only for two possible scenarios. Astronema. Let's see. You can definitely combo into her. You could probably combo out of her, but I would combo into her. It's a multi-hit, really fast. Really, well, not on the assist coming out, but she hits very rapidly. Ends with a knockback, so that's why I wouldn't combo out of it, but it's not impossible, I suppose. It's very good for juggling. It's a copy paste of Udana's staff spin attack, only instead of launching it just does a knockback. Um, but it's one EP cost more expensive, but it's a block breaker, so you can block breaks like that, or break blocks like that. Block breaks. That's. But I suppose you can do a three combo or something like that, cancel and then do that assist, or you can juggle really easily. So still some specific situations, but most, if not all, characters can benefit from having Astronema on the team. That puts her above all of these. So gonna put her in most, right up there with Phantom Ranger. I think she's on the same level. So yeah. Andros. Wow. Okay. Um, believe it or not, he has less scenarios that he's useful than TJ. Because TJ has two, Andros just has one. First of all, he starts with a stagger, which is perfectly fine. You can combo into it. You can kind of combo out of him in some situations. That's that one scenario that I'm talking about here. After the stagger slash, he does two blasts really rapidly, and they're both interrupt hits. If you time it right, you can block the second hit. You won't get hit by the second hit. You'll put the user in recovery and you could retaliate. In the optimal situation for the Andros assist user, and the most likely situation, your reaction time won't be fast enough to block the second hit because it follows really fast after or really quickly after the first blast. So you're going to get hit by both blasts, more than likely. And the split second you get hit by the second blast, you pull out your block and it does nothing. And the optimal situation for the Andros assist user, they're going to use a block breaker, as was the case with with my Tanya match with Andros and Heckle. That was one of the combos I like to pull off when we were getting matches for that. That's actually in the Victors episode in one of the matches. Because I cornered the opponent with the stagger, did the blast. They had actually a really, really late reaction time, and they blocked after the assist had already disappeared. But by then, I was already doing the block breaker with the kick, and since they were in their corner, the spin slash hit all three times. I run back and did the blast, completing the block breaker. But that's the only situation that Andros is useful in, is that whole scenario that I just described to you guys. So I'm going to put him in specific as well. So, yeah. Uh, wow. Zane is also very specific, believe it or not. Most of you probably believe it. We have three interrupt blasts, and depending on how far away from Zane you are, either decently decent speed or a really slow distance between the last blast and the slash. The slash is a knockback. I don't really see a situation where you would want to combo out of his assist. I would just see a situation where you would combo into it. And you can combo out of a trip or a raise with that assist, but you're probably going to get blocked once the slash happens. I would definitely use it uh, after launching an opponent and waiting for the opponent to bounce on the ground because they always bounce before they land. That's actually, for new players, that's actually when you want to juggle your opponent, is when they are at, like, right as they bounce off the ground. Once they raise off the ground that second time, you can hit them a bunch. If you do it with if you do it before they hit the ground for the first time, before the bounce, and hit them with an interrupt and they cancel again, they're just gonna fall flat on their back, not bounce, and get right back up. And that is Zane's weakness for his assist. I'm also gonna put him in very specific situations. Actually, I should have had a tier for very specific situations, depending on how many situations they had. But he will be joining the other in-space rangers in specific situations. The in-space assists are just useless, it seems, as of right now. And then we get Psycho Green, which is actually probably the most useful out of the bunch. Which is kind of funny because the Psycho Rangers are in space, but Psycho Green was not in that season. He was in the Mighty Morphin comics. But since he's part of the Psycho team, I guess they should have. I guess they were justified in classifying him under in space. Kind of like with Master Morpher Tommy. He is not. He was in Mighty Morphin, but he shows up. Is it after SPD or is it before SPD? But SPD is around, you know, and it's in like 2025 or something. So it's after Mighty Morphin, way after Mighty Morphin, and yet they put him in Mighty Morphin, even though he has his Zeo, Turbo, and Dino Thunder powers. Oh well. Anyway, yeah, Psycho Green. He's useful in multiple situations. You can combo out of him. You can combo into him. You can play mind games into him. So I would put most characters. You can combo into him out of a stagger, and then do him. And then you could also, since he has a rather slow, uh, he comes out rather slow. Let me put it that way. So you can cancel a 3-hit combo, have the opponent block, and as long as you are patient enough, if you time it right, you can hit the assist, and he will start to punch the second their block hits, or the second their block vanishes. You can do the same for Venchik's assist whenever we get down there. But for me, I'm rather impatient, and I always snag that block at the last second. They always block me right before their block runs out. But that's just because I throw it out just too soon. Because I'm paranoid that I'm going to take too long and then they're going to block again or something. I don't know. But he is very useful. Um, yeah. When I don't use Master Xandred in my main team, I use Psycho Green instead. So, yeah. Ecliptor is tricky because preferably you want to be cornered, and that's not an ideal situation. But when his head shows up, it does a stagger hit. And of course, the lightning does 3 hits on its own. The first 2 hits of the lightning are interrupt, and the last one's a knockback. Um, but the assist actually makes you dash backwards instead of forwards. It's one of the very few assists to do that. I think it might be the only one that does that actually. So to get the maximum out of that assist, you want to be cornered. So that's not a very good situation. But that's if you want his max potential. If you just want the assist to hit at all, you can just do a 3-hit combo, cancel, do it. That's like the bread and butter with block breakers. You could also, I suppose, lift the opponent up with either the Rita assists or the Thunder Ranger assist, or you could do a trip. Although I guess raising the opponent up would last longer than a trip, so I suppose that's more useful. but I would put Ecliptor in very specific situations because he has like three scenarios where he works, and one of them is not ideal. Um, yeah, let's see. We got a decent chunk of them in here already, but we have quite a ways to go. Oh man. Okay, let's see. Psycho Red. It used to be it used to be worse. It is better now. They did buff him a couple of years ago. I want to say it was 2022. But he used to be a stagger into a stun. But if you hit it at the wrong distance, only the first hit would land because they would stagger out of the effect or the hitbox range and they will not be pulled back in with a stun. Now it's just a stun into another stun, but the second stun pulls the opponent in like it used to. So they made the assist substantially better. Uh, you can use the assist with, I want to say anything. You can combo it out of a stagger. You can dash out of a knockback hit and then do it. You can also wait for someone's block to run out if you cancel a strike, but it's not as slow as some other assists like Zordon. I guess it's slower than Psycho Green, but you could still use it for that. Well, you could still use Psycho Green for that. It's also, I think it's slightly faster than Vengeance Assist, but you could. It's a very versatile assist, and you can combo out of it pretty easily because it's a stun, as long as you know what you want to do and if you have it available. So I'm gonna put it in with some characters. I don't know if most of the character tools to use Psycho Red to his full potential, but some of them do. So I'll put him there at the lowest. Might bump him up if someone asks me to, or if someone makes a case for it. Nokria. Let's see. She's actually pretty useful. It's a projectile. That's probably like her. That's probably one of her two weaknesses. Her other weakness is that she's a block breaker. But she's really good for combos, especially the frame perfect Carter assist cancel. Because in most situations, you will use Nokria for that to set up Carter assist itself. As a matter of fact, I had to replace Robo Knight assist with Nokria when doing the frame perfect Carter assist cancel with Ninjetti Tommy after his block breaker got nerfed because the EP costs were too much. Um, but yeah, you can juggle the opponent with any move after using Nokria, so that's already versatile in of itself. Of course, when I do the frame perfect Carter assist cancel, I like to do like a stagger into Nokria and then do Carter. So you could also do that. You could also do the juggle with Nokria, so do a stagger into Nokria and then juggle it with him with it. So yeah, I would say most characters. She's very, very useful. So I wouldn't say use it with all characters because there are some characters that can't juggle, but there's not many characters who can't, but doesn't mean that they're useful for all of them. You know, even one or two characters can keep an assist from being in the all characters usefulness category. Kendricks. I forgot about Kendricks. I keep forgetting about Kendricks. I keep forgetting she's in the game, but um, yeah. Let's see. Her assist is a dash assist. It's like Turbo Red and Kaya. Very slow on startup, but it ends in a stagger. But it's a 4. Like I said, it's slow and it's a strike. Very blockable. but rather useful if you can actually land it. Of course, you can combo into it, but I don't know why you would do that, because most of the moves you would combo out of to go into Kendricks to be the most effective would be too expensive EP-wise to do anything after Kendricks. So I'm going to put her in specific situations. Trakina. Okay. Same scenario as Mighty Morphin White, only in this case they did not improve her at all. She's the same EP cost, the same hit reactions that Mighty Morphin White used to be. Still blockable because it's a strike, but you can strike out block breakers with her. See, with the trade-off with Mighty Morphin White and Trakina, whatever trade-off there is, Mighty Morphin White can actually counter something. Uh, it can block something, and Trakina can knock out block breakers. But still, it's two interrupt hits, and you can't combo out of it. Now you can combo out of it faster than Mighty Morphin White assist, but you can't act immediately. So it's in the same situation as Mighty Morphin White, where those are the worst two assists in the entire game. So, yeah. Now, Magna Defender, though, he's a block breaker. He's pretty slow. It just ends in a knockback. But you can cancel him. He's one of the few assists that you can cancel. It's like Zeo Pink. You can bait out a strike and block it. Of course, as you saw from the latest Victory Series episode with Tanya, I wanted to use my block attack after canceling Magna Defender assist, but I was not quick enough. But I think that's just me. But you can use him for that. It's a very specific situation, though. Um, but you can combo into him with anything, really. Of course, cancel a 3-8 combo, because it's a block breaker. You can do that. You could launch the opponent. It would work. I don't know about... I don't think stagger hits would work with that. Maybe it would. Well, it would if they were cornered, obviously. Raising the opponent up, maybe. Tripping the opponent and going into Magna Defender would be ill-advised, I feel like. I feel like that's a bad situation, but yeah, I feel like Magna Defender can be used in some situations. Used in more situations than specific ones. And with that, we've made it to the 2000s with Lightspeed Rescue. Oh man. So, Vipra, in my opinion, is a worse Nocria assist. It acts the same, but it's a strike, and it's a little slower, and it's a 4 cost, not a 3. So, yeah, I think it's less useful than Nocria, who is in most characters. So that warrants at least a specific situation, even though she has pretty much the same uses as Nocria. She's just not as versatile because she doesn't have. She's more costly than Nocria is, and there's more risk involved. So I'll just put her in some. I might lower her, but for now she'll stay. What was Dana's assist? I've seen it probably like 3 times in total. Moveset video, probably when I tried her out, and then once in the Tanya Victories episode. I think it's just a bunch of staggers. Oh, I'm just now seeing live chat update. Okay. I'm seeing a lot of responses, but I don't see character names in there because they probably happened in the moment. Zordon is useful, Spark for some characters, Skull specific, someone specific. Goldar is useful for getting people out of your corner. Dragon Armor Trinity is useful. Um, let's see. Zordon useful. I agree, just not with most characters. I can't name a lot of characters that he's useful with. Spark for some. Yep, I've got him down for that. Skull specific. I don't know. I think he's pretty versatile. I use him for quite a bit. Dragon Armor Trini. Oh wait, Goldar for anti-pressure in your own corner. I suppose that's true. But that's really the only time I would ever use Goldar. And there's better assists for anti-corner situations. But I'll put him in useful and specific for now. Dragon Armor Trinity is useful. I suppose I could bump her up a tier, but no more. Some characters. I feel like it's very specific though. But yeah. But I think, yeah, some characters that could work. Okay, now that live chat is updated, I don't know how many more times I'll have to do this, but I can see more messages now for some reason. Dana Assist is a bunch of staggers. I think she comes out rather quickly, but I'll have to take a look at that. Let me pull that up. Okay. Legacy Wars. Scroll down to Lightspeed Rescue. Okay. Okay, she comes out pretty quick. And it's not super rapid firing rate, but it's a decent firing rate. So, I don't know. I feel like she's more useful than Skull, actually. Because she actually gets you closer to the opponent. Which means I would say she's useful for most characters, because she's actually 1 EP cheaper than Skull, actually. So, yeah, I'm going to move her up to most. Might move Skull down to some. I feel like most characters is still a good placement for Skull. Maybe he's not as useful as Dana, but he's still pretty useful for a lot of characters. Titanium Ranger, I would say, he's not useful for everyone, because not a lot of characters have a lot of combo potential. Most of them do, like 98% of them do. And 9 times out of 10, you can make a combo out of Titanium Ranger Assist into pretty much any move. I'm going to put him in useful for most characters. If every character could use him, I would put him in useful for all characters. That's how good he is. I would put him up here. But I'm pretty sure there's a couple of characters that do not work with him. But he is very useful. Carter. Um, yeah, that's kind of an iffy one. It's a single hit. Well, it's really 2 hits, but it only registers as 1. The reason I know it's 2 hits is because you can do 2 different things with him. The frame perfect Carter assist cancel shows that off. Um, if you let Carter go out or carry out normally, he sends the opponent flying backwards with a knockback and sets them on fire. If you do the frame perfect Carter assist cancel, he does not set the opponent on fire. And he sends the opponent flying towards you for some reason. So, the first of 2 hits that I'm calling this here, the first of 2 hits is the one where he's sent flying towards, is where the opponent's sent flying towards you. I think the next frame after that, or maybe the same frame, I think it's a couple frames after that, that's when the actual full assist hit actually comes out and sends the opponent flying away from you and on fire. He's the same uh, EP cost, I think the same speed and same attack type as uh, TV Jason, but he has less. I don't know. He has damage over time, but he only hits with damage once if you don't count the damage over time. I want to put him in the same tier, but you can also do a super combo with him. But that's also a very specific situation. But most characters have a super. Well, I don't know how many characters have supers, but a lot of them do. I'm gonna put him in with some characters. I was gonna put most, but I mean you can do the frame perfect card assist cancel with anyone. It's just easier to do it with someone with a super, because all you have to do is hit the taunt button when the time comes. You can also do it by dashing, but that's more difficult. I've also done this once. I've also done the frame perfect card assist cancel and canceled that assist with another attack that wasn't a super, not a taunt, not a dash. I just hit another attack and it happened. I think I've only done that once though. I've tried it many times, but I've only pulled it off once. But anyone can do the frame perfect card assist cancel. It's just easier with someone with a super. So I'm gonna put him in some character. Well, I'm gonna put him in most then, because I just get a little spiel about anyone can do it. How about Jen? Let me refresh live chat again just to see if we're still missing out on messages. Nope. Okay, good. All right. Jen is slow to come out, starts with an interrupt hit, and then ends with a knockback. And if you go to dash out of the combo and juggle, you can't most of the time. You really want to have your opponent cornered when you throw this assist out, and if you want to combo out of it. So I'm going to say specific situations for Jen. Wes. Oh man. He's he's not great at all. He's not super bad, but he's not good. He's first of all a 5 cost strike, and he's super slow. And it's just a trip into a launch, and you can't combo immediately out of it, but since it's a launch, I guess that's okay because you're not gonna hit the opponent if they're way up at the top of the stage already. Um, but he's very very expensive EP wise and slow, very blockable. I would say specific situations, but really just have to be lucky to land him. You have to hope the opponent doesn't have a block or is just dumb enough to dash into the assist or something as it does the slash. If they dash towards the assist as it's coming out, they're probably still gonna have enough time to block it. So I'm gonna say not useful because I feel like it has as much use as Zed's assist, and that one's useless in my eyes. They're way better launch assists than Wes. Let's see. Rancic. Projectile, block breaker, so kind of vulnerable. Sends the opponent skyward and towards you. So basically it's Gemma, but faster. Slightly faster. I think he feels faster than Gemma. Gemma's just really, really slow. Rancic is kind of like a Nokria situation where you could just combo into Rancic and out of Rancic with almost anything. Since it's a launch, you can combo with more than actually, since it's a launch like Nokria, it gains a slight edge because it sends the opponent flying towards you. and you can combo easier with that because you don't have to dash forward to get to your opponent to juggle them. Although you could if you want, but it isn't going to do much because the opponent's going towards you anyway. I guess if you don't want to corner yourself, that's a downside. But so I guess you could choose between Nokria and Rancic, depending on if you want your opponent to be going straight up or up and towards you. So I'm going to put them in the same tier because you could use them for the same purposes, but depending on what you want to do specifically, you may choose one above the other. It's kind of like, oh, who was it? Skull and Dana. They're pretty much the same. Uh, just one's faster and cheaper. The other one is more spaced out, giving you more time to react. Okay, let's see. Quantum Ranger. That's a really good counter assist. All right, starts, well, it's a counter, obviously, so you have to get hit first. It's a stun into a bunch of juggled interrupts, like juggling the opponent. They're up in the air just slightly. It's a bunch of interrupts in the air. And then I think it sends the opponent flying towards you before the final hit, where it sends the opponent uh, up in the air. Or no, it's it doesn't send the opponent flying towards you until the last hit. I think I'm just remembering the assist wrong. Yeah, it's just a stun into a bunch of juggled aerial interrupts into launch towards the opponent or towards the user. So very good for combos. It's like Rancic, only it's way different. I would say useful for most characters because again, like with some assists that I put in most characters, not every character has a good juggle option. Most of them do. 9 out of 10 of them do. But there's a couple of them that don't. So, okay. Now we're on to Wild Force. Start off, we have Danny's assist, which it has not great range, but it's not terrible. It hits, I think, half a dash space in front of him, and it's a stun. But like I said, with some other stun assists, there's not a lot you can do to combo out of a stun unless you want to do like either a launch or a combo that is unblockable after the first hit. So I'm going to put him in specific situations. You don't see a lot of Danny assists out anymore, especially up in the upper leagues. So let's see. Wild Force White. It's a projectile. It's a projectile that's slow to come out a little bit. Not slow, but takes a little bit of wind up. Once it hits, you should be able to dash out of it, but you can't. It's one of those combo enders that you can't combo out of. What I like to do is I like to pair it up with Black Dragon. I like to do the tail whip attack into the Sonic Scream attack, and then do Wild Force White assist. It's a nice 3-hit combo, and it gets the opponent out of your corner and into theirs in one fell swoop. But it takes all 10 of your EP to pull off that 3-hit combo. So that's just one specific scenario you can use Wild Force White assist in. Aside from that, there's some similar situations where you could use the assist, but not very different from what I just described. So I'll put her in very specific situations as well. Um, Wild Force Yellow. If it was still a 5 cost, I would put it with most characters, but since it's a 6 cost, that lowers it down to specific. Not just some characters, just lowers it to specific because it's a launch, but it's a 6 cost, so you need a 4 cost attacker lower to juggle with it. It was a lot better when it was a 5, but you can combo it with Magna Defender's Zika's Vengeance. It was the one of the few assists that combos really well with it because a lot of the other launch assists, um, Zika's Vengeance doesn't hit in time, and a lot of the opponents get stuck at the bottom hitboxes of Zika's Vengeance, and I don't think they get hit by all the hits that it's possible to. Um, Movie Zack is a good assist for it. We found that Tanya is a good assist for it. Taylor used to be. All the other launch assists don't work with Zika's Vengeance as well as we would like them to. But now that it's a 6 cost, you can't do that at all with Zika's Vengeance and Wild Force Yellow Assist. Uh, yeah, I would say I'm going to put her in specific as well. I mean, some characters can use her, but it's just for juggling. That's one scenario. You're not gonna you're not gonna do much else with her. Zenaku, like I said, I think Delphine is the worst projectile pressure assist. I feel like Spark is the best because he's faster. But if you want to apply more pressure because it's slower and you don't want the risk of being blocked, I would say Zenaku's better than Delphine. I would put Zenaku in useful for some characters. I guess the same tier as Spark because I guess it just depends on personal preference how fast you want the projectile to be. It's still slow. Spark's assist is still slow, but it's supposed to be. Just comes down to how slow you want it. Starting to get a little hoarse out here. I'm talking for almost 2 hours straight. Okay. Let's see. Lunar Wolf Ranger. It's a stagger hit into a bunch of stuns. As I keep saying, you can't really combo out of a stun unless you do certain specific things. Uh, you also really can't combo into his assist unless you, of course, cancel a 3-hit combo or do a stun, which this one's gonna end in a stun. So like, I don't know. I'm gonna put him in specific as well. Wild Force is just really specific. Same thing within space. I don't know what's up with these seasons, but they're really specific in terms of assist usage. Tori, you see a lot of those assists out. Maybe not as much as we used to, but still see that assist quite a bit. It's a launch, as we're all well aware, and very good for juggling. And I'm pretty sure you can gain an EP or two out of it if you dash a time or two before you start your attack. So I feel like I'm going to put Tori in for most characters. Okay. As for Thunder Ranger assist, I'm not specifying Navy because there's also Crimson. I'm just going to call them both Thunder Ranger. That is our third and last assist that just raises the opponent off the ground. Doesn't trip them, doesn't launch them. Just kind of an in-between, between launch and trip. Uh, yeah, it's kind of like the Rita assists, but it's a counter. And of course, you can't block it unless you're Black Dragon because he can block counters. He's the only character in the game that can do that. Still need to make that video of him blocking all the counters in the game. Luckily, Tanya does not have a counter. So I don't need to add that to the... Actually, I have Tanya anyway, so it doesn't matter if she has a counter or not. Luckily, I have all the characters that have counters unlocked, so I don't need to try anything out in the casual events, but I digress. Um, I would say it's a good juggle assist, but not much else. That's really the only situation you would use it in. But a lot of characters can use him like that, but I don't know. There's some combos that characters can do that won't go well with that assist. So I think I'm going to keep them in specific. Because there are some characters who probably qualify for specific, but will go in most because they're useful for most characters, but only for specific situations. So it's kind of a gray area where you could put them in either or. Cam, another 6 cost assist. Comes out rather quickly. Kind of hard to counter, personally. It's a bunch of air kicks into a stun slash, but it's a 6 cost. There's not a lot you can do out of a stun, as I keep saying. I'm going to put them in specific. So, okay, with that, we're through Ninja Storm. It is getting rather late. My battery is kind of low, if you can see up in that top right corner. And I am starting to get really hoarse. So, we're going to save the rest of this tier list for later tonight when everything is fully recharged. We will pick up where we left off. Let me try to save this real quick. Okay, about screwed that up. I think it'll autosave. Yeah, because there's a reset button. So, alright, take one last look at this just in case it doesn't save. That way, whenever we start back up the stream, if it doesn't save, I'll just look back at this and, you know, do this again. Okay, so yeah, I shall return in a couple hours. Hope you guys tune in for that one. Hopefully we can finish that up tonight. Until then, this is Shard Collector, signing off. Take care, guys. Wrong button. See you in a bit.